Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom. This is the brother Yakanan from the GMS Houston camp, and just a quick lesson, with there's many events going on around the world, and one, that's getting ready to, just rumors right now. The U.S. going to war with Venezuela, which, the U.S. is Babylon the Great. If you don't know, this is that whore that rides on the beast. This is Mystery Babylon, who is headed over by Esau Edom. And hey, this is just a beautiful time, because this is signs of the end. Signs of the end, and it's not even. You know what? Let's just get right into it. This is Matthew 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So, you see from the context of it, Yahushai's disciples are asking Yahushai, when we know you're getting ready to leave, but we also know that you're coming back. You're coming back to save us. So what are the signs? The sign, let's get that word for sign real quick. Sign of thy coming. What shall be the sign of thy coming? This is G4592, Semeon, and it says a sign, a mark, a token, that by which a person or a thing is distinguished from others and is known. A sign, a prodigy, unusual occurrence, transcending the common course of nature. So both of those, distinguishing from other events. The events that are going on now in this time period are distinguishing it from other time periods. Does that make sense? Because let's go to, as a matter of fact, let's get this real quick. Because I wanted to make, Lord willing, this is, edifying, quick and to the point. Let's just get this real quick. Daniel 12, is it 4? Daniel chapter 12 and verse 4, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. So in the time of Daniel, this book was sealed. Now, when Yahushua was on the scene and he was given to be that sacrificial lamb in Revelation, the 5th chapter, the books were open. So from the time of, which is really the understanding, and all this was going out in this time, starting with the Rabbi Abba Bivens. If you can receive it, hey, that's beautiful. But in the time of Daniel, the book was sealed. Now in these end times, the book is open again. The understanding is going out. From that period of time, I remember even when I was a kid, the people in the church do not have the understanding. Because I remember asking about the Bible. It's like, oh no, that's sealed. So, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So, what is this? This is a distinguishing, a mark. This is a semeon, a distinguishing sign, because in the end, knowledge shall be increased. Many shall run to and fro. Just look at how people travel. And you can get to anywhere in the world in a matter of a few hours. Whereas in those times, it might take you years to get somewhere. You understand? This is a distinguishing from from the time then, even 100 years ago. And it would take you a while to get somewhere. Now the things have increased. This is distinguishing from that period of time and this period of time. Distinguishing, a difference. So let's get this back again. Matthew 24 and verse 3, and as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? So the end of the world, does this mean the whole world's going to blow up, this or that, whatever? No, the earth abideth forever. This word for world here, but you have three different words for world. You have cosmos, and you have oikomene, and this word here for world is G165, aeon, meaning a period of time, an age. It says a perpetuity of time, the world's the period of time, age. Number 3. This is what this is referring to. And who was ruling at the end of this world, or in this world? Let's get this real quick. Let's start up at verse 7. And if you read it in the GNT, it matches up with what's written in Matthew 24. You know what? I might now, for time's sake, I'm not gonna get it. I'm kind of, anyway. Then answered I and said, Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So the parting asunder of times, what's gonna separate the times? From this fourth kingdom, which is ruled over by the Roman Empire, which in Ezra's time he was a 400 or 500 years before the Roman Empire. So they weren't even really in existence. They weren't in existence yet. That empire didn't exist yet. It didn't come into play yet. Verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. So letting you know what happened in Genesis 25, the 25th chapter, letting you know that what was written, that Esau and Jacob being born, Jacob holding Esau's heel, that was not only, the documentation of what happened, but also symbolic of the future. So, and they were both prophesied to rule. It says the elder shall serve the younger. Who came out first? Esau. So verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the end of the world. So letting you know, the end of this age, the end of the period of time, who is going to be ruling? Esau, Edom. So anyway, if you know, you know. So that's who's ruling in the end of this world, in the end of this time period. And all you got to do is look at who's ruling. What does he look like? Who is he oppressing? How many military bases does he have all around the world? What's his gift? Esau's blessing was the sword. How is he using that sword? Hey, this man, who gave him that sword? Hey, all these questions, which, hey, if you've been watching, starting with the apostles, elders on down of Great Millstone, hey, all the brothers, the bishops, everybody, they all break down who Esau Edom is. Without a doubt. So, continuing on, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed. Even people saying that they're, following them, to follow them, that they're leaders, they're anointed, that people think they're actually, Yahushua. We had a guy come up to the camp, 2 weeks ago, whatever like that, talking about he was Yahushua. That bugged out nigga. And shall deceive many. Hey, he had a woman with him. She probably really thought this nigga was Yahushua. But you have many deceivers out there in the world. And this is Yahushua letting you know, the true Messiah, letting you know that there's going to be much deception out there. You're going to have to be able to distinguish between it. Like it says in I want to say Micah 3:18. Let me get that real quick. It might be Malachi. Oh, it's Malachi. I always get them mixed up. This is Malachi chapter 3 and verse 18. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and him that serveth him not. So you're going to need an eye salve, the scriptures. You're going to need the Holy Spirit. Without it, you cannot discern between righteous and the wicked. You cannot tell who's truly serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and who isn't. If you can't tell who's serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and who's serving Yahushai, then you're not his lamb. You need to be able to distinguish between the two, because Yahushai says, "My sheep hear my voice." If you can't tell Yahushai's voice, guess what? Never mind, you ain't gonna be able to figure it out. But anyway, verse 6, Matthew 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So you're going to hear of wars. You're going to hear of rumors of wars right now. Matter of fact, I think I had that, might have had it pulled up. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on a second. So I had this Google search I had here, Global Conflicts 2025. It says global conflicts in 2025 include the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is not a conflict, that's a goddamn genocide, along with civil wars in Myanmar, Sudan, and escalating gang violence in Haiti. And that's not all. You got stuff going over here in Babylon the Great. You got the rumors going on in Venezuela. Hey, there's a lot of stuff. There's many things going on, not just this, the China-Taiwan conflict, the Korean Peninsula, the South China Sea, Lebanon-Israel conflict. Hey, you got the Lebanon-Israel conflict, the Palestine-Israel conflict. You got the Egypt-Israel conflict. You got the Israel-Yemen conflict. You got the Israel-China conflict. You got the Israel, it just keeps going on. You got the Israel versus the world conflict. You got the Israel versus the internet conflict. You got the, anyway, you got the Democratic Republic of Congo probably versus Israel conflict. It goes on and on. There's many conflicts going on right now. So again, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. Yeah, because you're going to see these things. You're going to see them increase, but don't be troubled, because this is not the end. This is just a sign of the end. One of the signs. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And so what I'm really focusing on is the conflicts, nation rising against nation. You're going to have World War III. And these nations are going to go into the Valley of Yehoshaphat. World War III is going to take place in the Middle East. The least of the flock shall draw them out. So, again, back to, let's watch this video real quick. This is pretty short, just going into Venezuela.
To bomb drug traffickers inside Venezuela in a matter of weeks, according to new reports emerging from America. NBC News is reporting military officials are drawing up plans for drone strikes against cartel leadership, members and drug labs, although it is yet to be signed off by the president. The US military has carried out 3 separate strikes on vessels from Venezuela this month alone that the president claims were carrying drugs. Multiple warships, a submarine, more than 4,000 sailors and Marines are now positioned near the South American nation. Venezuela is preparing for the worst, already calling this an undeclared war. For weeks, civilians have been training to use firearms at more than 300 barracks across the country. And in the UN last week, they accused the US of having an ulterior motive, seeking regime change in Venezuela to, as the foreign minister put it, steal the country's oil and gas wealth. There are some within the US now speculating Venezuela's president could himself be the target of a US attack, with the Trump administration claiming he is running drug cartels and planning to increase a reward for his arrest to $100 million. But all this is seeing Venezuela only draw closer to Russia. A recent vote to approve a new economic treaty has just occurred between the two.
So you see that, hey, they're threatening war against Venezuela. They're saying they're making up stuff. Oh, they're drug traffickers and all this stuff. Meanwhile, most likely, the U.S. has been funding this stuff like they've been in the past, and they're trying to set up regime change. Venezuela is saying no, they just want our oil resources, and this is something that the U.S. has done in the past. Set up puppet leaders so they can extract the country's resources for their own gain. So this ain't nothing new. Let me see here. This is what I'm focusing on, but I'm looking at I'm looking for something particular. So this is First Maccabees, the 8th chapter, and it's given details on the characteristics of Rome. If you read in Daniel chapter 7, it says this beast is diverse from all the previous beasts before it. And what made it diverse? It had senates, it had Caesars. It didn't have a king like the previous kingdoms. It did things differently than previous. So this is First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 11. It was told him, besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. And this is Babylon. This is U.S. policy. And the entire world, except for those that could really, got help and could stand up, this is what they've done. Pretty much all over the world. They can have, matter of fact, let me get this. Says what nations had the most military bases? The United States has the most military bases overseas, with hundreds of bases across more than 80 countries and territories. There's only 195 countries, so a little less than half of the world has military bases in it. It says among these countries hosting foreign bases, Japan has the most, with a significant presence from the U.S. Other countries with large numbers of foreign bases include South Korea, Germany, Italy, and the Philippines. United States overseas bases. The United States operates approximately 750 overseas bases and the U.S. operates approximately 750 overseas bases in more than 80 countries and territories. Geographic focus, the U.S. military bases are concentrated in Europe and East Asia. So they all over the world with it. All these territories, they didn't just say, hey, excuse me, Mr. Japanese person, can I set up my base here? No, they conquered them. So back to Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 11, it was told to them. So, a matter of fact, I'm going to just move on. Oh, you know what? I'll just select it. Maccabees 8 verse 11, it was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity. And you know who the so-called friend of the U.S. is. Look, I already mentioned it several times, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh. So they conquered pretty much everybody. Hey, there was, like I said, this has great iron teeth and brass claws. They conquering, they destroying everybody, they stamping everything, both far and high, insomuch as all that heard their name were afraid of them. And that was the U.S. for a long while. Now they they are in decline. Also, that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace. Finally, they were greatly exalted. So the point being here, hey, if they want to help you, they'll help you. If they want what you got, they're going to take what you got. And this is what they're looking to do to Venezuela. So this is Psalms 64, and I'll start at verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. And this is speaking of us in these last times, that we're seeking to be hidden. because this devil's going to come down with great wrath, and he's going to start off doing this with his tongue, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. So through his speech, he's caused a look at the Iraq war. Look at things like that. Look at just that. That's a prime example. And that was how we went into that war was a false flag. And then what ended up happening was they went into a different country that had nothing to do with that, just to take their resources, to overthrow their leader, destabilize their country, take their resources. And that's the same model that you see over and over. And how is it done? Through their tongue. Their tongue is a weapon. They use that propaganda and turn to people's minds to make them an enemy. Meanwhile, they had nothing to do with you. The same thing here with Venezuela. They're using their tongue. They've got drugs. They're running drugs in their country. We need to set up a leader. We need to go over there. We need to take out their leader. I'm going to put a bounty on him because he's a bad person. Meanwhile, really, what he's looking at is taking your resources. Just how he's using his tongue as a weapon. This man uses his tongue as a sword, like it says, to whet their tongue like a sword. Look, the sword is more than just an iron weapon, more than the missile. It's his speech. And this devil's going to use his tongue eventually to come down on the Israelites. You already see it being set up. You're the face of crime, Jake. You're the face of all the degeneracy that this devil's been doing. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, Esau Edom. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So he's gathering people to himself, he's gathering their resources, all this stuff, just for his own gain. And he is as deaf, he cannot be satisfied. It don't matter how much he got, he always wants some more. And that wine is the philosophies, the different things that causes you to transgress, that causes you to go off. That's why you see this Moism. That's why you see niggas wanting to be women. All the colorful hair, all that stuff, the music, everything. You see what you're seeing. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. So destruction to you, that you making an increase off of things that are not yours. You're doing this by deceit. All the riches that you got have been by deceit. And what you're trying to do right now, by deceit. Woe to you, destruction. How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that word for thick clay is ibatyat, meaning heavy debts. This is how this devil has gotten rich, by putting you in debt. When you're born here, you're in debt. For what? Just for being born. I mean, who do you owe the money to? They're not going to tell you. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? So, hey, guess what? It's going to be on a sudden. You're going to be in straits. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of those that dwell, and of all that dwell therein. So you're going to be in bad times. You're going to be spread too thin. You're going to have wars over here. And like Yahushua said, you're going to hear of nations rising against nations, rumors of wars. You're going to hear all kinds of things. This place is going to have a civil war, this faction against this faction, this political group against this political group, these races against this race, this nationality against this nationality. It's going to be chaos. And this is all the time of this devil's rulership. And these are all, how you say, Semayons. Signs of the end. And it's beautiful. Signs of the end and signs of Yahushua's return. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So you seeing the transition. And I'm gonna see if there's anything, a little bit of anything else. Verse 12, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. And that's you, Esau, Edom. Woe to you, destruction to you. You built this entire city, which is a Babylon the Great. You built it with blood. The blood, deception, the theft, the robbery, all this off the blood, sweat, and tears of the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the so-called Israelites that you refuse to call us by our true names. But we're calling you out by your true name. You're being exposed. Woe to you. You want to live forever? The seed of evildoers will never be renowned. Behold, is it not of Yahweh Shem Yahushai? I'm sorry. Behold, is it not of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Lord of hosts, that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge and glory of Yahweh Shem Yahushai as the waters cover the sea. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and that maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on his nakedness. So woe to you. Hey, you made everybody drunk, so you can go and take their resources, so you can look at their nakedness. And don't say you ain't done it. You've done it. We got the receipts. Your own history books tell on you. Your own politicians tell on you. Your own whistleblowers tell on you. And the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushai are just bringing it out. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh Shem Yahushai's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So, you're being exposed. Left, right, center, all over. For the devil that you are. And Yahushai is going to come and take this kingdom from you. And hey, that's it. So, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom.